Wait, there are two American girls. It's Miss Judy and Miss Eileen.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
What's going on?
Hi, everybody.
Hey, tonight I think we're talking about a girl from the year I was born.
I don't think so. You'd be awful old.
I think so.
1824, almost 200 years ago.
Okay, so sometimes I feel like I was born in 1824.
You may, yes.
All right, okay. And what is her name?
Josefina Montoya.
Josefina
so this doll
Montoya.
Right here, we have her at the library.
And there's that song, Josefina, who was born in 1824, and she lived in New Mexico before it was a state, and she is happier than before.
Very
Josefina. No, okay, go ahead.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Tell me about Josefina. Tell me a little more about her.
Okay. Josefina lives on a New Mexican farm called Ranchero.
And Cheryl?
Ever since her mama died, Josefina has tried to preserve her mother's tradition. But so much is changing. American traders arrive in New Mexico with new ideas. Josefina bravely faces these changes with hope. She spends most of her time at home on the rancho, helping to weave, garden, bake, and care for the animals.
All right, so she's dealing with a lot. I mean, she's dealing with the death of her mother. And how old was Josefina when her mother died?
I think she was 10 years old.
I can't even imagine. And I know people go through that. But
Right.
I mean, I was
And she has a couple
47 when I
older
lost my
sisters.
48 when I lost my mother, and it was hard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
And people lose their mother at even younger age. So yeah, so this is pretty cool. And I'll put some links to some resources for people who might be going through the same thing. I'm glad we're talking about Josefina because this grief is a hard thing. This is
Grief
cool
is
that
a
you're
very
taking
hard
on
thing
some
to do,
tough
yes.
stuff, man. All right. And not only that, you're saying her culture's changing.
Yes.
Because, here
Yes,
come
her
the
culture's
Americans mushing.
And it's a lot to take
Let's
in
change
for
this.
her.
Let's change that. I mean, and I say that knowing that we are all Americans, and I'm very thankful to be an American, But as we know, we haven't always treated those who were there before us with care and love and concern. So I'm sure she is facing a lot of change. Yeah. So you were talking about how she wants to preserve the traditions of her
She
past.
wants to preserve the traditions and her memories of her mom.
Okay,
So-
okay.
Tonight, what you're going to do is you're going to make a memory box.
All right. Oh, that's
Okay.
cool. Yeah.
So, in the memory box, we have, and Miss Judy has some photos
All right.
of one of the memories is
Look at that.
of Josefina with her mom.
Our mom did necklaces for her with her and jewelry
Like beaded necklaces.
Right, beaded
Beaded
necklaces.
Very cool. Very cool.
Okay.
and rings with turquoise and turquoise
rings.
that came from New Mexico.
Nice. Nice.
It's
She
a
has her
natural
mom's ring.
stone.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they didn't have like sewing machines back then.
So they would weave.
they did weaving.
Okay.
So Josefina has...
Did they mostly use 3D printers?
No.
Okay.
No computers,
they didn't
no
do the 3D
internet.
printers. Okay.
So she has a piece of yarn.
Well, they had the internet, but it was just like on Nokia phones, like those.
No.
Like it wasn't like. Okay. All right.
So, and then Josefina and her mom dance. So
Dude, that's awesome.
She has a flower that
Very
she
nice.
can wear with
Very
her hair.
nice.
Okay. Now, then some of the is, of course, back then they did not have washing machines.
Right.
So they took their laundry
Thank
to the
goodness.
river.
How we ever let that
I
get
don't
invented?
know, but they actually took
Washing
their
machines.
basket of laundry down to the river and did it with
Okay.
a stone and beat the clothing that way.
Oh, that's cool.
They would husk the corn to make their dinner. They would gather things from the farm. and husk the corn together.
Cool.
And then here's a picture of them actually at the stove. They had a pot on the fireplace.
Right.
And their herbs hanging up here. And so that's how they did their dinner, as opposed to an oven.
It's quite, and then they had to invent the oven, and then we're all slaves to the oven. Yeah.
So
well, did they? Now I notice over here in this picture the microwave is right here. So there were microwaves, but not
so
like
sure
a regular
about
stove. Okay,
And
a toaster.
in her box.
Wait a second. Wait, did they have toasters?
No.
I don't believe so.
How did they heat their Pop-Tarts?
There were no
I don't believe there
Pop-Tarts
were
back then.
Pop-Tarts.
No Pop-Tarts.
Wow.
You would have bread and jam.
Wow.
Okay.
That's a great substitute. Sorry.
So other things that has in her memory box is a feather,
Okay.
a spearhead, or arrowhead, sorry,
Yeah.
and some gemstones, some stones that
Very cool.
reminded her of Mom. Okay.
So, if people want to pick up these materials, they can do so at the library.
They can.
Yeah. Or you can make the memory box out of anything that you wanted.
That's true.
When we come back, you're going to show us how it's done, right?
Correct.
Let me take a look, though. Josefina, because she had not had the easiest life, she also ended up kind of like doing the best that she could with it and coming out stronger, probably. We're all given second chances, but we just have to be brave enough to take them. Josefina.
That's correct.
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
That's correct.
All right. Well, we will be back with more after these messages. Very cool. And we're back, as Miss Rebecca says. One thing I wanted to talk about here, we have so many Josefina books.
Yes, we
and
do.
You can check these out. Like, here's Josefina's surprise. This is about when she found a Pop-Tart in her Christmas stocking. This is really cool.
This one?
Oh, Meet Josefina. This is about whenever she got a Facebook account and she had to write up her biography on Facebook online. So she was kind of thinking, what if someone had to meet me, what would that be like? You know, so that was about her writing her Facebook profile. Changes for Josefina, a winter story. I can't remember. Oh, this is the one where she wore the same long johns like all winter long, and it got a little bit smelly because, like, you know, because she'd be, you know, stepping on stuff, and finally she changed her long johns, and so this was about changes for Josefina. Yeah. This one, Josefina saves the day. I remember this one. This was the one where the mean neighbor boy, Ed, came over, and he was just teasing everybody, and he was angry because there weren't any Oreos left, and Josefina remembers that there is an extra bag of Oreos, because they have them in bags, the way they're packaged in Canada, which is much better than they're packaged here. And Josefina had some Oreos, and so Ed took his Oreos and went home. So that was good. That was good. And this one, Josefina learns a lesson. This is whenever Josefina began to study philosophical existentialism. So that's nice. I remember all those.
You forgot Happy Birthday, Josefina.
Happy birthday, Josefina. Where's that one?
The upright one?
Oh, happy birthday, Josefina. That's the one where she sang, where the mother, this is before Josefina's mother died, the first one, and it was the last song that her mother sang to her, and it said, "This is your birthday song. It isn't very long." That was it. Get it?
And it wasn't
Yeah,
very long.
yeah. All right. So this is it. And
Okay.
this is the memory box.
So this is the memory box. So you're going to need about 50 popsicle sticks. Okay.
All right.
Can be any color, and I'm using the plain ones for the base and then the colors ones for the side. So I have 11 popsicle sticks on the paper plate here.
Okay.
So
That's no paper I've ever seen.
I'm sorry, it's a plastic plate.
I'm
sorry.
I'm just kidding.
Slip of the tongue. So, and then I have some tacky glue over here. So I'm going to.
I think it's nice glue, Miss Eileen. You shouldn't judge that. It's one solid color.
Yes, it is.
I don't see any rhinestones in there. That's not tacky at all.
So I'm going to take that and I'm going to.
Can you believe her?
Place that
I know.
Judgment. We should not put our judgment in these shows.
On the edge, and then I'm going to do another
glue.
one for the other side.
Yeah. And you use your finger, right?
I'm using my finger.
Now, can the kids use their own finger, or do they have to come here or have you go over to their house?
They can use their own finger.
Okay, they don't need to use yours?
They can use a popsicle stick. They can use a Q-tip.
Okay.
Now, when I already made...
A cucumber?
No, a
Probably wouldn't
Q-tip
work.
for the ear.
All right, okay.
I already made the lid
Okay.
because it needed to set.
All right.
So now, what I'm going to do, and I have 4 of each color here.
Okay.
So I'm going to just dip the end in the tacky glue,
Eileen,
and I'm going to
the non-tacky nice glue.
and I'm going to
The tasteful
build it up.
glue. Well, though, don't taste it.
No, don't taste the glue.
It's not edible,
I don't think it's not toxic.
but not edible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
Don't lick the screen either.
I'm going to do the purple, and I'm going to do blue, and I'm going to do that on opposite ends here.
Oh, that's cool.
Again, you could do any pattern that you would like. If
That's
you would like
true.
to make them all one color. The bags are mixed popsicle sticks, but if you wanted to make all the plain and then decorate it, you could paint with a marker. You could decorate it. You could any way you wanted to.
Yeah, because if you only have plain at home, like if you don't come to the library to pick up the stuff,
Right.
you could just use whatever. Yeah.
If you have plain, you could draw on it.
Yeah. You could draw Miss Eileen and Miss Judy.
They'd be very talented if they did that.
That would be very cool. Look at that, how it gets taller.
So, and it's just building it up.
Yeah.
And if you wanted a taller one, you would just use more popsicle sticks.
Right. Yeah, because what if you want to put
Your cell phone in it.
Yeah, what if you want to put your cell phone in it? Right. Where did Josefina put her cell phone?
They did not have cell phones back then. Just think of what people would do.
I don't.
They had the Pony Express. They would write a letter,
Yeah.
and when they went into town, which wasn't very often, they could send a letter to a relative in another town.
And it would go by pony.
It would go by a person riding
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, those are some smart ponies.
riding a
Like
horse.
that's pretty. Woo!
So
A pony would come up, right?
back in the stagecoach days too. So
That is very nice.
I'm just building a second row of my colors here.
Cool.
And as I said, if you want it taller, you can make it taller by adding more sticks to it.
Some things you could put in there. What are some suggestions for things you could put in there? I mean, well, we saw Josefina. She put in. Here it is.
She put in a lot of things that reminded her of her
flower.
mother.
Oh, there's other things.
So we took it out, but the jewelry from her mom.
She would also put in a plastic
Stones.
bag.
Well,
Did she have a plastic bag?
No, they didn't have plastic back
but
then.
she could go and she could put stones that she found.
Yeah, like, you could put
stones
rings in
that
there.
She could put rings in it.
Yeah.
Or
You could
a
use it
necklace.
as a jewelry box if you wanted.
Yes.
Things you
we
should
use-
not put in there. I'm thinking like a pepperoni sandwich.
No,
No.
nothing
Yeah.
edible.
You wouldn't want to put that in there. This is nice. Or
That
like,
actually was from New Mexico.
no way! Have you been to New
The ring
Mexico?
is from New Mexico, yes.
Nice.
Yes.
I've been to New
I was
Mexico.
saying
My grandparents lived in New Mexico.
No way. Where did they live?
Deming.
Not, dude. New Mexico.
Deming, New Mexico. So I was there many, many years ago with my parents, and we visited. So we have a lot of turquoise
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
coral from there.
Dude, it's beautiful, isn't it?
My mother had a lot of the little pottery, the Indian pottery things.
Yeah, yeah.
And we climbed up. We went rock climbing the one time in the caves that are up in the mountains.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Oh,
beautiful.
that's so cool. That's so cool. And there it is.
so. Now I have it.
Oh, you
and
have to let
you
it
need
dry.
to give it probably a half hour or so to dry.
Okay.
But now I already did the lid, as I said, and I have a little bead here that I'm just going to dip in some glue.
It kind of
and-
looks like an olive.
Well, the one that I have
Like
here
not a
is yellow.
person named Olive, but like.
So, and then that could go right on top there, and then you have your memory box.
That is awesome. Thank you, ladies.
You're quite welcome.
Dude, it was really fun. And I don't feel 200 years old anymore. I feel younger. You know what it makes me think?
What?
You make me feel so young.
Oh,
You make me feel as though spring has sprung. Anyway, I love you, American girls.
okay.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Why, hello there. My name is Miss Eng, and usually for American Girl, I'm behind the camera. And I film Miss Eileen and Miss Judy, who do all the work, and I just make smart mouth comments. Well, after we finished Meet Josefina, Miss Judy and Miss Eileen expressed some concerns that I had kind of led you astray about what the books are about. And I was just joking about those books. So I thought to myself, how can I fix this? Because when you do something that is wrong, you should try to figure out how to make it better. So what I did was I started to read the Josefina books, which I had never done before. And you can really learn a lot from them. Not just about a girl living in 1824, but also about the whole what life was like there in what is now New Mexico. And one of the things that's most figures in most of the Josefina books that I found is that Josefina's mom, as we talked about, she died the year before we meet Josefina in Meet Josefina. And that's what this book is about, introducing Josefina. And it's really hard for her. I don't know if some of you have lost perhaps your mom or your dad or people who give you love or are close to you, but that's a really, really hard thing. And I myself am just experiencing a year when my mother has died. And so I can't imagine what it would be like to be young like Josefina and have lost my mother at that time. I'm thankful for the time that I had with her. In Meet Josefina, this really is just an introduction to who she is, and you get to meet her family and her tia Dolores, who becomes sort of like the caretaker, like what you would think a mom would do. She stops in on the way and stays at the rancho that Josefina's father owns. And it's a really neat book. They live near what is now Santa Fe, New Mexico, which we talked about as a beautiful city. In School Story, this one is about Tia Dolores. Tia means aunt in Spanish. Tia Dolores really wants Josefina and her sisters to go to school, to learn. First, she teaches them quilting, but then also she really wants the girls to learn how to read and write. And this really scares Francesca because she remembers that Mama didn't teach them how to read and write, and Tia Dolores is just taking her further and further away from what her mom wanted for her. But Josefina doesn't see it that way, and she does want to learn how to read and write. And she does still, though, want to remember all the good times that she had with her mother and all the things that her mother taught her that didn't have to do with reading and writing. So this is a really poignant one, too. And that's what School Story is about. Josefina learning not only how to read and write, but also how to use the loom. Book 3 is about Christmas. And what happened was the people who settled in the area where Josefina is in 1824, they originally came hundreds of years before from Spain. And so Spanish is the main language, and they're now in what is at that time Mexico. And Mexico is also the main language then and now. And so other things that they brought with them from Spain, and then as Mexico developed from a Spanish country, is their religion. And they were Roman Catholic. And their Catholicism and their faith in the Catholic Church and God really was a big part of their lives, and Josefina's too, and you can read about that in this story. In here, they celebrate Christmas, which is the birth of Jesus, and what you find in this story is more about that, and also more about how Mexican people would have celebrated Christmas, and that's Christmas story, Josefina. The next one is Josefina celebrating a very special birthday. Happy birthday, Josefina. And this, again, deals with kind of relationships. And again, she's still navigating being without her mom and trying to discover who she is through all of that, too. And learning to forgive other people and forgive herself. So this is kind of a restorative kind of book here. It's a really good one too. In this one, Josefina meets a young man from Missouri who seems like a wonderful guy, but can he be trusted? And that's the tagline from the book, and that's what it talks about here is, how we welcome people that we don't know before, how we welcome people who are from places other than where we are. And finally, a winter story. This one is the 6 books of the main book, and this one is about Tia Dolores, and she is deciding that it's time for her to move on. And of course, that really worries the girls. Again, they lost their mother being with them, and then now they've also are in fear that Tia Dolores will be gone as well. There's also a Josefina mystery. If you like mysteries, this one's called The Secret in the Hills. And I thought that I could read the beginning of this one just to kind of give you, it's kind of a look into what this one might be about. And remember, when you hear Tia, that means aunt. And if you look at the beginning of these books here, there is also, and this is true for all of the American Girl books, there are also a family tree. So you can see there's Poppy, that is Josefina's father, and he owns the rancho. And Ana, Josefina's oldest sister, she's married and she has 2 little children of her own. Josefina is 9 when this begins, and her heart is just very loving. You'll find that through all these books, she's a really loving girl. Francesca is 15 years old, her sister, and she is also the one who really, if you get into the school story, does not want to learn how to read and write. And Clara is Josefina's practical, sensible sister, and she's 12 years old. So Josefina is the youngest. Abuelito is Josefina's loving grandfather. Abuelito means grandfather in Spanish. And Tia Dolores, Tia again means aunt, and she's lived away for many years in Mexico City. She lived in Mexico City for 10 years, and so in this book, she is kind of reintroduced as a character. And then obviously becomes a really big part of the lives of Josefina and her sisters. So, the other nice thing about these books is in the back, there's also a pronunciation guide and a glossary of Spanish words. And you'll find Spanish words sprinkled throughout all of these, like gracias means thank you. And asica is a ditch made to carry water to farmers' fields. Adios, Camino Royal, the main road that ran from Mexico City to New Mexico. Its name means Royal Road. Fandango, maybe you've heard that, is a big celebration or party that includes a lively dance. And there are many glossary words in each of these books. But here's the beginning of The Secret in the Hills, a Josefina mystery. Josefina Montoya crouched in the autumn sun beside a prickly pearl cactus. Young prickly pear leaves can be used to help people with rheumatism, she recited. Roasted older leaves can help children who have the mumps. Anything else? Tia Magdalena prompted. Josefina stared at the thick cactus pads, searching her memory. The juice is good for treating spider bites, Tia Magdalena reminded her. After carefully using a small knife to scrape the leaves clean of their sharp spines and tiny needle-like barbs, Josefina slid them into her collecting bag. It's difficult to handle cactus without getting scratched, she said. Almost as difficult as remembering all the cures you are teaching me. If I had a blank book, I'd write everything down. Tia Magdalena smiled but shook her head. A curandera doesn't need books, she told Josefina. God provides true healers with everything they need, a good memory, a patient and loving heart, and 2 strong hands. Josefina stared at her hands. Would they ever be as strong and knowing as Tia Magdalena's? Josefina believed she was meant to be a curandera, but sometimes she wondered if she would ever be able to remember half of what Tia Magdalena knew about healing. Tia Magdalena seemed to know what Josefina was thinking. It takes time, she said, and you've already learned so many things. There are wise women in the village, but I know you'll also be able to contribute if someone asks for help while I'm in Santa Fe. I'll do my best. Josefina felt a flutter of unease. Tia Magdalena rarely traveled, but she was leaving in the morning for a week's visit with Josefina's grandparents, Abuelito and Abuelita. All will be well, Tia Magdalena patted Josefina's shoulder. Almost everyone in the village is healthy, praise God. Except for Dona Felicitas, Josefina reminded her. Elderly Dona Felicitas was full of aches and pains. You can bring comfort to Dona Felicitas, Tia Magdalena said firmly. Then she turned to the family servant who had accompanied them out to the open hills near Josefina's family ranchero. Watch for any sign of trouble, she said. Miguel, let's start back. They headed toward the rancho, through the dusty hills, glowing pink in the afternoon light. Mounds of rabbit rush bloomed with golden flowers, and the air smelled of pinon pine. When they neared the river, the water sang over the rocks in its path. Josefina let the beauty ease her worry. Since she started roaming with Tia Magdalena, Josefina had begun to understand the land's secrets. And Josefina's aunt, Tia Magdalena, is another one of her aunts. Tia Dolores is the other one. And she is a curdera, and that is someone who was sort of like a medicine woman, like, what do I want to say? A woman who, I'll look at the glossary. A woman who knows how to make medicines from plants and is skilled at healing people. So what you find in this one is that there's a very different dynamic between Aunt Magdalena and Aunt Josefina. Magdalena is more old school and carries on different traditions. You can see from her language that her faith is really important to her. And the back of the book describes this book as Josefina has heard tales and legends of her life, rumors of gold and silver buried in the hills, stories of a ghostly weeping woman who haunts the countryside, but she has never imagined such tales might be true until the day a mysterious stranger arrives at her rancho. So that is Secrets in the Hills, if you're looking for a good mystery. My friends, I really want to thank you for watching American Girl and for putting up with all my silliness. And I want to remind you, too, that Josefina, you can see it starts with a J, but again, remember, her name is of Spanish origin, and the J is pronounced like that. Yeah, so that would be Josefina, like Jose or Jesus, that kind of thing, when you see a capital J, and it's a Spanish origin word. So I really want to thank you, and I hope you'll join us next time, Miss Judy and Miss Eileen on American Girl. Thanks, friends. Bye. Learn more about Josefina Montoya. Watch the American Girl video at tinyurl.com/Shaler Josefina.